Doug Smith broadcasting from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, on the shores of the Ottawa River. I got my Senators jersey on. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. I got to have some way to defend myself because I see some blue over there on Simon. So welcome to the Performance and Recovery Show. Today we're gonna be talking about a lot of the great things that TDC is doing because TDC broadcasts this show. So I want to make sure that we highlight that, and always the Toronto Maple Leafs, because you guys are both in that neighborhood, right?
You got that right.
There you go. So, and I love talking Toronto Maple Leafs because a lot of stuff happened to me when I was playing against the Toronto Maple Leafs, going into the gardens and stuff in Toronto, and the trouble I got into after the games and all that stuff. One of the highlights of the Toronto area was when I asked to be traded from the LA Kings, and we'll get into that later. I went to the media in Toronto because they wouldn't trade me for 2 years, and I told somebody in the press that I wanted to be traded. And I'll tell you the story about how that goes later.
That's great, Doug.
So you guys introduce yourself and tell me where you are, and let's get her going here with
Okay.
Simon.
Go ahead, Simon.
My name is Simon Ho. I'm a graduate of the TDC Accessible Media Program. It was a great learning experience for me to be able to learn everything from production to editing to putting everything together from scratch almost. I did a final project. It went great. I did an interview with a veteran, and I learned a lot during those summer. And yeah.
That's great, Simon.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So again, I'm Jay Stoyan. I'm the founder of the Disability Channel. In case Doug's and Simon's fans and viewerships don't know who I am, so we're all about creating opportunities on the Disability Channel platform for persons with disabilities and veterans. And we create about 50 television shows a month, including this one, which is Press Box, which is our sports program where we showcase all the positivities in sports and what's attached to sports. But we also do other shows, like we have a music show, we have a car show, we have a social issue show, we have a veteran show, we do live events. So again, Doug, I really thank you for letting me be a part of your show today. You know how much of a Maple Leaf fan I am. So this is why I wanted to come up.
No matter who you are, you're involved in Ontario some way with hockey. And I remember that feeling of going to training camp. Now, I mean, have you ever been to a training camp before, Simon? Not hockey, but any sport?
No, I played organized house league hockey as close as I got to.
But that first day, you know what it's like, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's nervous, everybody's tense, and when you go to the NHL, you're supposed to recognize all these guys because a lot of the young players followed hockey. Well, I didn't follow hockey. I didn't know who anybody was. I didn't even know who Marcel Dion was. I had never seen him play a hockey game because I never watched hockey.
That's pretty like amazing, Doug, considering you never watched it. Why? Because you were always on the ice practicing, maybe, or
no, it wasn't interesting to me. I just didn't find it. I didn't idolize hockey players in any way, shape, or form. So I would meet these people who were hockey gods, and I would treat them like everybody else, and some of them didn't like that very much.
So how did you get into hockey then without liking it?
Wow, it was sports for me, Jay. Like I'm a master of the spin. I can spin anything. Like at lacrosse, I was ranked one of the top players in the, and I raced. I was a downhill ski racer. My parents got me out of that because I was good at it, and they figured I was going to destroy my knees.
But so you never like watched Saturday night hockey and said, that's what I want. I want to be a hockey player, like something like that.
No. Take me where my parents took me where I needed to go. I was diagnosed with some severe ADHD when I was 13. And so, without my parents, I would have been on something, probably Ritalin, and that would have been the end of my hockey career before I even.
Oh yeah, we could talk about pharmaceutical drugs all day long.
I know, but and so they steered me away from any of that, got me into meditation, and that's really the biggest part of my work today is getting people to meditate. So, something good came out of that.
So why don't we do this before we get into all the different topics? I just want to tell our people about our employment programs in
Yeah,
media for persons with disabilities and veterans. So
yeah,
right now we have a course running, our first cohort. I believe it's actually probably almost midway through. I think we have between 16 and 20 participants. I go down there usually every Wednesday. We do either in-person videos, interviews. They learn everything behind the camera, in front of the camera. Then we also have online because we're all about accessibility. And the reason I'm bringing this up again, because Simon is a graduate. How long ago did you graduate from the course, Simon?
2 summers ago.
There you go. See that 2 summers ago, and he's still with us. I love that. And Doug has added his professionalism because he could tell you his own story, which is remarkable. But he's going to be a mentor and a teacher for our class for people who are they love the class, and then all of a sudden they feel a little bit overwhelmed, or for instance, their condition flares up and they got to take a week off, or we don't want our participants to drop out. So Doug is very valuable as he's going to be interacting with our participants. Like I said, in case they have a down day or they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or they miss a class or two because they've been sick. So Doug's going to jump in and help them get back up to speed. So I really thank you for that, Doug, because I know you have a lot to add.
well, I'll push their threshold. I'm not going to be that nice, Jay. Right?
I
Like
can't believe that.
yeah, you gotta get moving, right? That's the thing, right? But I'm patient with it because of all the times in my life, in my professional hockey career, when I was trying to get ahead, the issues with my brain and how my brain functions and how it has since I was a kid gets in the way, right? I don't have my mom and dad guiding me anymore. I got to guide myself, and you know how it is. You think
Yeah,
you're young for the rest of your life if you keep your brain young, right?
that's right. So tell us, Doug, a little bit. I mean, obviously you had such a severe incident, accident. Tell us today, do you do anything to maintain your health? Like, I'm sure you do a lot of things, but anything that is directly attached to your accident?
Yeah, I meditate now probably over an hour and a half a day, every day, and at night. At night, like when I wake up and can't sleep, I turn on a specific meditation and I go to sleep right away. I don't even know what the end of some of the meditations are because I don't make it.
And do you do any medical procedures or anything in a health world to maintain your health? Not like other than
No,
regular stuff.
no, I'm not on any pharmaceuticals. Now I had a complete
Wow.
bladder, complete bowel shutdown. I was paralyzed from the chest down, so no arms, no legs, no bladder, no bowel. And I was on a catheter 3 times a day for almost a year. Couldn't walk for almost a year. And then my mom searched out the best healers she could find, and we got me off all the medications, all the morphine, all the halcyon, all the stuff they had me on. And then I just started to slowly rebuild. Now, I shouldn't say slowly because my wife pushes me, as your wife should. And my wife, Patty, pushed me through a lot of really tough times. But we had 2 daughters, 2 very young daughters when the accident happened. And one was just a week old and the other was 2 years old. And so
Wow.
in a way, my children made me get out of that bed. Because I was watching my wife like catheterizing me, like while I was at home, I was in a hospital bed, and my kids were getting up, and so they had a huge part of my success. My family's always been a huge part of my
Well,
success.
let's give a big props out to your mom. Everybody loves the mom, right? Our
Yeah,
moms, right? So let's give a
yeah,
big shout out to all the moms out there in the world.
yeah, that's right.
So let's
That's
flip it
right.
over to Simon now. Now, Simon, tell us how you feel since you met the Disability Channel and what this program has brought to you and how it's possibly changed your life for the better.
One word, empowered. Like
Yeah.
I you guys helped me find out for myself what I could do and even more. So thank you, Jay.
Well, that's great. I know because me and Simon have been talking, and like I said, Simon's been with us for 2 years. And what we try to do with the channel with our graduates is we try to find a little niche for them where they're going to succeed and they're going to roll with it. They're going to go, right? So for Simon, we tried Simon in a few different positions, and some of them worked and some of them haven't. But now we have him linked up. He's doing the editing for us. Now he's going to be a guest appearance on the press box. So It takes a while, but at the channel here, because I take it personal. I take it very personal when somebody comes through our door and they leave, and they don't leave for the better, if you want to say that, right? Like it just didn't click, and I don't like that. I want the people, because they put in so much effort, so much work. The team puts in a lot of work to make sure the people are gelling and successful. So I take it very personal when somebody leaves our platform not in the better. So I really thank you for that, Simon. We have so many great graduates and so many great stories. But why don't we do this? Because it is called Press Box. So why don't we start talking a little bit of hockey, and why don't we start with the man with the what number is that, Doug? Is that your shirt?
Yeah, it is number 92. When I founded the
Wow.
Ottawa Senators Alumni Association in 1992 with a couple of other guys, and it's raised 25 million, $30 million now. I was given this at a game one night by the Senators, number 92. So I don't know
Wow.
who else has worn number 92 for the Senators. There's probably somebody else that's worn it, but
Who's the
I'll,
92 in
I'll
the
take
NHL? Jeff O'Neill? Who's the 92 in the NHL?
Yeah.
I don't even
Old
know.
Dog's definitely 92.
O-Dog's 92, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So somebody else is wearing my jersey, for crying out loud.
So does that make you an Ottawa fan or not necessarily?
Wow, of course I'm an Ottawa fan. Yeah, my buddies now own the team, like Kyle Bratz with Full Script. He's a friend, and Jeff York. I grew up, played with him for 10 years, and he's one of the owners. Like, so I was just at the AGM for the Sens alumni the other night, just seeing how things are developing, and it's really powerful in Ottawa. I got to tell you, it's the change is good. Doc.
Are they playoff bound this year? What do you think? Or not
it,
quite?
it doesn't matter, right? It's a matter of tweaking for the next couple of years, right? And they're focused on the new building, and if they can just tweak it and not rush, right? Slow everything down, just
I
build
like
it
Travis. I
properly.
like Travis Green. I like Travis. I think he's a pretty good guy. I liked him out in Vancouver. He did very well in Vancouver, but I think he's a hard-nosed coach. You either play hard the right way or you don't play, kind of like our new coach, Craig Berube. Speaking about the Leafs, let's get some Leafs talk going here. So
That's
I'm
Uh,
dying
debatable.
here. I gotta do my
Center of the
Leaf talk.
universe.
Okay,
Center
so
of the universe, Leafs.
why don't I start? I'll kick it off. I'm really impressed with a few guys, and a couple of guys I'm not too impressed with. Like I thought Bobby McMahon had a bad camp. I thought he would have done better. I thought he would have grabbed a spot maybe on, at least the second line. But now he's not even. Now he's in a press box. I really like Nick Robertson. I thought finally he broke through. He's had like some bad luck, bad timing, just bad. But I think I would put him on the first line. I don't know if Matthew Nyes is first line quality, because you got to score. What do you guys think?
Well, they need a grinder to fill the spot with Matthews and Marner, right? They
And
can't
he's
just have an
big.
all-star game and line out there. It doesn't work.
That's a good point. I like that. And it's not like Matthew or Nyes can't score. Like the guy can score, but he's put on some weight this year. So yeah, we need somebody in the corner, because we both know Matthews and Marner can go into the corner with a dozen eggs and come out with a dozen eggs. So
That's
but
not their
that's not
skill
what they're
set.
paid for, right? What do you
They're,
think, Doug? What do you think? What do you think about
Wow,
the
you gotta you
forwards?
gotta look at the logic of the talent you're working with and the psychology behind what they're doing. That's why Willie Plett used to play with Tony McKegney. The only reason Willie Plett and Tony McKegney were on the same line is because Tony McKegney was the top goal scorer in the league, and he needed to tell people that Willie Plett was going to beat the crap out of him if they touched him. Because
But
he could.
Tony could have probably done that
Oh,
himself.
but he would have sat in the penalty box all night
Yeah.
because everybody wanted to fight him. So they had to put the toughest guy on the league on his line to
Willie
protect the
Plett.
toughest guy. And Willie was like, you don't want to mess with Willie. He'd just grab you and bang your head against the
He had a
glass.
great beard, didn't he? Didn't he have a great beard, Willie Plett?
No,
Yeah.
he didn't. Not when he was
No?
playing for Calgary. No. He was just a
Wow.
big man, just a huge man.
So I think the Leafs upgraded their. I think I like Steve Lorenz. I like him on the fourth line. He's big. He's 6'4". Him and Reeves and David Camp. They way overpaid for him, but we'll see what happens there. Max Pacioretty, I think he could be a pot a few goals for us. Play with Nick and Pontus Holmberg. He's our third line center. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. What do you think, Simon? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, ultimately it's going to be up to the top two lines, right? To score, particularly the core four to deliver. Well, core three now, I guess, now that Tavares' game has fallen off
I don't know what John's
significantly.
going to do. I think John's. I think if John has enough in the tank, he'll be fine. But does he have enough in the tank? I think he's
Yeah.
only 34, 35, so he should.
Are you
My
saying
hunch,
that are you, go ahead.
my hunch is that Marner at a contract year is going to produce like our Ross level numbers, at least contend for one. I think so.
It would
He
do
wants
well.
he wants to get the bag, as the
I'm
kids
Go
would
ahead, Doug.
say.
curious. I'm curious, Simon. Like, how do you justify that much imbalance when you're asking for four names? You know, you're saying there's only about four. It's only about four guys with the Toronto Maple Leafs, where all the games I remember battling and winning and building team, it was always a balance, you know, between them. But you're saying that Toronto doesn't really have that balance right now?
Not with the way the salary cap, their cap situation is structured.
Oh,
It's pretty much those four players have financially, at least from a cap situation,
But that's
hamstrung the
four.
Leafs do.
they're
When you
going.
think about what other team has four bona fide stars? Like John's still a star, right? And like the other three are like top notch. What other team has as many stars as that on their team?
Probably
I don't
Edmonton.
know. Who?
Edmonton.
Edmonton has two. I mean stars like Leo and Connor. Who? Not Nugent. He's not. He's not there.
They got Evan
Um,
Bouchard on defense.
Eric
Rest of the
Bouchard.
Evan Bouchard, yeah,
Evan
he's a nice
Bouchard.
player.
I mean, he's good. I'm not saying, but I'm talking star power. Like, if you want to go back on the
Oh, you
defense, you got
want
to compare. Like, you got to compare that to the guy from Avalanche, right? Cal McCarr. Like, I'm talking, or Hughes from Vancouver. Like star power, right?
Yeah, but
Star power.
it sounds like Toronto's trying to sell the star power. They're not trying to sell, well, we're going to win way more games than we did last year. We're just going to leverage that star power, which you can do in a big market, right? You can get away with it and still make money.
But if all those four stars play the same way, which they kind of do, right? They're all goal scorers, right? John's maybe the only, well, Austin, the 200-foot player, but the other two, they're just goal scorers like Mitch and Willie. But I think this year, I think we got some toughness. I really like that they added Connor Timmins on the back end. I've been saying bring in Connor Timmins since he got here, and then he scored 4 points in one game and then got sick or whatever. But like Timothy Liljegren, I like him too. Solid. Why did we trade Sandin? I don't know why we traded him. Should have traded Timothy Liljegren and kept Sandin instead. What do you think about Tanev? What do you think Tanev's going to do, Doug?
You know what? You're better to ask Simon about him.
well,
Simon?
well, I'm looking at stats right now. He's Chris Tanev. He looks, or he should be a solid top four. Yeah, I
I
can
think
see
he's a
him
number one.
doing.
No, he's a solid number one. He's a solid number one. He is. I've been watching him during the preseason. You know what he does? He's always in the right position. Always in the right position. He doesn't exude energy, and he's tough as nails. Like he's like the guy. He's tough like the guy from who's the Rangers defenseman that just crushes everybody.
Uh,
Um,
are you talking
you
about
know,
Adam Fox?
no.
No,
No, the other guy from the Rangers. He's been there a few years now.
let me look
He
that up.
always he hammers everybody like top notch hits, just crushes people. That's what Chris Tanev reminds me of, right? While you're doing that, I'll just go down the line now, and I like Benoit. I think Jake McCabe playing with Ekman Larson. I think that could be a good side of, and I really think we improved our goalies. I think we improved our goalies like tenfold.
How do you know? I mean, I watch hockey from time to time, but how do you know whether you've improved your goalies? They see it, the whole role of goalie seems to have changed so much. They're so big and they're so strong, right? And they go through, they're streaky like everybody else. It's so hard because there's
I
so
just been
much
watching
talent, right?
I just been watching the preseason. This Florida goalie, like I tell you, he's
They're
big.
monsters, though,
They're
right?
monsters. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not just hire a guy that's 485 pounds and layer
Yeah.
him with equipment and plug him in
Yeah.
there?
I know it's so funny watching these goalies compared to Bernie Perron. Like, oh
It's
my God, Bernie Perron was like this big. He was like this big. He was like
And,
that
and
big.
Grant, I know, and Grant Fuhrer wasn't any bigger, but the winner, Darren Pang, right, 5'1" or whatever, or 5 feet tall, like he could almost stand and go underneath the crossbar.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick break? And as we go to break, we're gonna watch Doug in action from his NHL career. This is amazing. So stay tuned. We'll
Oh,
be
it's
right
with
back.
Buffalo. It's with Buffalo, and it's against Toronto. I couldn't find anything that wasn't against
Well, that's
Toronto.
good. Okay, so yeah, enjoy. Watch a clip from Doug in his NHL career. We'll be right back with Press Box.
welcome back to Press Box with our fearless leader Jay Stoyan and Doug Smith, former NHL'er and motivation speaker.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is good. This is good. It's a great show. So we're really excited. You guys want to hop around the rest of the league? Any thoughts? I was watching the Devils game. They're 2-0 with our old coach Sheldon Keefe. I don't know. Uh-oh. They beat Buffalo. They beat Buffalo, Doug. They beat your
Yeah, I
team.
saw that 3-1.
Yeah. I think they beat them
Yeah.
twice, right? They beat them twice.
Yeah. Maybe there's some room on the Sabres now. Come back time.
Well, I know they play I think they play Montreal, at least play Montreal Wednesday. Then they go into, I think they go to New Jersey, or they play Jersey on Thursday. Then they play Pittsburgh on Saturday. So they play Kyle Dubas's team on Saturday.
Oh, wow. And I heard there was a team up in Quebec City for a while. I don't know which of the teams went to Quebec City. They're going to Toronto now.
Oh yeah.
Who are
Well,
they playing?
they had some games up in Quebec City.
Well, they spent some time there, yeah, like getting
Oh, did
ready.
they?
Yeah, getting ready. Who's the team that's playing Toronto this week?
Oh, Montreal is Wednesday, and
No,
then
okay.
Jersey on
It would have
Thursday,
been
and
it
then
would have been the last week. They were away.
oh, okay.
They went to
The
Quebec
Panthers
City.
were in Quebec City.
Okay,
Pan-
there you go.
Talking about the Panthers, you think they're going to repeat? I don't know. That's going to be tough.
I like their lineup. They're just bruising Grid-L hockey.
They got a good lineup. They do have a good lineup. So we'll see how that works out.
Oh,
I
they're
don't
all
know.
driving around in limousines now. They're going to get a little soft, maybe. You
Oh
know?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, they won the cup. And Bruins, they signed Swayman finally. That was crazy. We were talking. I have a Boston Bruins fan. He's like a diehard, like I am with the Leafs. He's going, I don't know what's going on with the goalie. Like the guy's never been a starter like for the full season, and he wants $10 million. So, but he signed for $8 million. But that's not bad. $8
Wow.
million. $8 million.
Wow. Well, it's amazing what they can say today to the media. It blows my mind what professional athletes can say to the media compared to what I was allowed to say. Like we it was almost a ban, you know, to us. Like if we ever got caught saying the wrong thing to the wrong person, it was like, and now it's like, well, I want to be traded, I want this and I want that, and it's like everybody goes, well, isn't that interesting? You know, and
Well,
it's
when
ahead.
Lou was here, you weren't when Lou was with the Leafs, the team wasn't allowed to talk to the media.
Yeah.
No one talked to the media when Lou was a boss. No, you don't talk to the media.
Yeah, so that was at the time in the 80s. In 1985, I went to the media in the dressing room after a Toronto Maple Leafs game where I had a decent game and told them I wanted to be traded from the LA Kings, and it was an explosion. I can show you the scrapbook just related to that statement. And now they make the statement, it's like, oh, this guy wants 20 minutes. And they want to be traded here, and they, you know, their wife lives here, and you know.
Speaking about how crazy the Toronto media is for the Leafs, I saw a little clip with Max, right, Pacioretty. He goes, "Oh my God!" He goes, "I've had so many microphones stuck in my face, like for 15 years. Like I forget. Like when he played in the United States, it's like, you might have one junior reporter with a mic there. He goes, you go to Toronto, you got like 25 mics. He goes, I love it. I forgot. Like in Montreal, he goes, but it's even worse in Toronto than Montreal. But yeah,
Well,
so
it's like
just what you
going to
said there.
Hollywood. It's like going to Hollywood for hockey players now, right? Go to
It
Toronto. It's
is.
like just flash bulbs and people trying to get your picture doing bad stuff, right? Like,
So let me talk about this, Doug. So um going into your first training camp.
yeah.
So you got drafted by LA Kings. What you tell our viewers what year?
I was in 1981. I was running just under a 5 minute mile, and I was ranked high in the lacrosse rankings in Canada as well. I was a machine, and I arrived in training camp 184 pounds and ripped.
And how was your mindset?
And I was ready. I was just ready to play and win. And I got out on the ice the first day, and I was lapping guys, just lapping them. Like it was like they weren't even skating. I was a speed skater. They were on fucking double skates, And so I didn't realize that guys went to training camp in the NHL to get in shape
That's right. Back in the
at that
day.
time. And so I was told unequivocally that day that if I didn't settle down, that I would get the shit beat out of me.
I believe that.
Very clearly, I was told that. Like, just don't make us look bad. Guys like Rick Chartrand, Marcel Dion, like these guys, completely different era. And I was entering as an 18-year-old, the first year of the 18-year-old draft. So I was all full of piss and vinegar. And all they wanted to do was protect their jobs. I mean, essentially, but that's the way it works, right? I just wasn't prepared for it.
Rick Chartrand, what a name. That's like, wow. Who else is on the ice, Doug, with you then? Do you remember?
Well, Billy Harris and Mark Hardy and, Mario Lassard and Charlie Simmer and Dave Taylor.
Wow.
It was like it was the Triple Crown line, right? It was supposedly the best line in the National Hockey League, and there was very little patience between player, general manager, and owner didn't care. And so the culture in Los Angeles when I was there needed a huge transformation, and I wasn't the one to do it. That's one of the reasons I got so burned out in LA, because it was just I had 5 coaches in 4 years.
So when you went into your spring training camp, like going into your first camp, did you in your mindset think, oh, I'm gonna make the team? Like I'm on the team.
Well, you know what, Jay, at that time, I went to training camp without a contract. Okay. So I arrived in Victoria, BC, on the island, and I was at training camp, and they still hadn't signed me. And my lawyer told me to get on a plane and come home. So I left the 3rd or 4th day into training camp, and I flew back to Ottawa without telling anybody I was leaving.
Wow.
And I arrived back in Ottawa. I joined the Ottawa 67s. I played the first game of the season for the Ottawa 67s. I got 3 points and I think 20 minutes in penalties because I went out with a bang, right? Like with a fight. And then,
Yeah.
and then after that game, I signed a contract with the LA Kings, and I was back at training camp, and the same guys wanted to beat the crap out of me.
Wow. That's a very
Wow.
interesting story from an 18-year-old to say, I'm going home. Like that's pretty
Well, I had no,
ballsy a little bit.
my lawyer told me, because there was no paper between us. I hadn't completed a contract. That could never, it would be impossible for that to happen today. You imagine if I would have got hurt on the ice when I was there without a contract. That was it. That would have been the end of my
You're
career.
done.
Yeah.
Simon, do you want to jump in and ask Doug a question?
Yeah, Doug, how'd you like playing in LA at the time?
Well, I love LA. Like I can't imagine anybody going there and not loving being on the coast in Los Angeles. That gave me a haven, but it also, at times hurt my performance because you could disappear, right? There was in LA at that time, even today, you could probably disappear quite easily in Los Angeles. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah,
So
they get lost among the Hollywood stars.
yeah, and I used to be able to disappear, and you know, I was a beacon to predators, at 18, 19 years old. I was driving a black turbo Porsche, You know, I picked up a hitchhiker in Inglewood, California one day, and he said, go left towards Compton as opposed to right. Be cool. He told me, he said, go left. And he touched his chest, right? And I was like, oh, fuck. So left I go towards Compton, and he pulls into a chicken place, and he says, "I've got a watch I want to sell you. It's $2,000. I always carried 2 or 3 grand around because you didn't have debit cards, right?" He
Yeah.
said, "I've got a watch to sell you. It's gold. It's $2,000." I was like, didn't look like gold, but I gave him $2,000, and he let me go. Like I drove away, right?
Wow.
Like I was in a
Wow.
bad situation, and I even at 18, I was aware that I was in a bad situation.
Well, speaking
Oh,
about
you
that,
went fast.
speaking of, you guys heard about that, the San Francisco 49er who got shot in the chest, right? Like a couple weeks
Yeah,
ago, right?
Yeah,
They
I
tried to
heard
steal
that.
his Rolex watch. The kid tried to steal his Rolex watch in California. So
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
you can't in LA. That was the thing. You asked the question, Simon, being in LA, you can't make a wrong right turn. You can't get off the freeway at the wrong exit. And I was naive to all that stuff, right? Like I just thought it was like Ottawa being in Crystal Bay, like the west end of Ottawa, like I didn't see it as anything different. So I encourage people to go with that particular attitude, but do some things to protect yourself though. Don't do nothing. Don't leave yourself wide open.
Let me
So
ask you this, Doug, because tell our viewers how many teams that you played for.
So I was drafted by the Los Angeles Kings, second pick behind Dale Hawerchuk in 1981. So I played for the LA Kings for 5 years. And
Yeah.
then I was traded to Buffalo to play for the winningest coach of all time, Scotty Bowman, for 3 years. And then when Gretzky went to Los Angeles, I went from Buffalo to Edmonton to take his spot in Edmonton. I played 75 games against Wayne directly. So then from Edmonton, Pat Quinn wanted me back because he traded me from LA. So he got me in Vancouver. Played there for 2 years with Trevor Linden and Igor Larionov when the Russians started coming in. And that was an incredible experience. We
Was
could talk about another time.
Burry was later. Burry was later, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And then these were the first guys to come in. And then I got the call one February from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Mario wanted me to go and play with him to go after the playoffs that year in Pittsburgh. So Vancouver wasn't going to make the playoffs. Pat Quinn agreed to let me go to Pittsburgh because it was an opportunity of a lifetime. Even then, it was for me to have the request from Mario to go and get her done. It was like holy shit, like your belief in self goes up a lot.
So let me ask you this, and then I'll let Simon ask you a question. What was the best run organization you played for?
Wow, the Buffalo Sabres, when I got traded to Buffalo, they had lost 5 games in a row. Scotty Bowman's neck was on the line. They made the trade for me. Playfair and McKenna went to LA, and Brian Engblom and I came to Buffalo. I scored 13 seconds into my first game. My line ended up getting 27 points in the next 5 games. We won 5 games in a row. And all of a sudden, you know, my poster was on the outside of the building, like literally within that period of time. I went from a healthy scratch in LA. They weren't even playing me anymore because I was so emotionally distraught in LA. They were sitting me in the stands.
Wow.
And I go to Buffalo, and the first 5 games, I'm on the top line in the National Hockey League. And Jay, Simon, it had nothing to do with my physical ability. It only had to do with my mental ability, right? Because Scotty Bowman, picked me up at the airport when I arrived in Buffalo. The guy picked me up at the airport, and he told me in the truck when we were driving to the hotel downtown Buffalo, he said, I've been trying to trade for you for years. I've always believed in you. I always thought you could be the best centerman in the National Hockey League. Within 5 games, I was the best centerman in the National Hockey League.
Confidence, right?
Oh,
All
I
about
mean,
confidence.
just unbelievable. And I believe, Jay, it can happen to anybody. Simon, it can happen to anybody,
So
right?
do you credit that, like, that moment with the Buffalo Sabres as the best organization because it really changed your life a little bit.
Yeah, it made me see what belief can do to a human being. And I learned it from my own experience. It's like, like you tell somebody 50 times they shouldn't do that, they'll stop doing it. And in LA, I got there and they told me to stop doing it, stop doing this, stop doing that. And eventually I just stopped doing it. I was like, okay, I can't do anything, I guess. So I'm just gonna go play beach volleyball. I became a very good beach volleyball player. I had
Well,
lots
you're at least you're in California, right?
well,
I mean,
I had
hey.
lots of time. Yeah, I became a diver. I got my diving. I got a boat. I did anything you could do to distract myself from like what the hell was going on in Los Angeles at that time.
You want to jump in, Simon? Ask him a question.
Yeah, Doug. When you were on hot streaks or getting in the zone, like, do you think you could replicate that's possible to replicate for anyone, even inside and outside hockey?
Yes, I've been able to do it myself on and off, right? So I know it can be done because I've done it to myself and I've seen other people do it. It's incredible. We perceive a year or 2 years of being on the right track as a long period of time, but it really isn't when once you get started and you put your head down. When
So
you
let me
find
ask.
that thing you love, like get started, put your head down, and it's 2 years for you to be I'm in, and you'll complete it within 5 to 7.
So
That's been my experience. Go ahead.
let me ask you another question. So, what was the organization that you had the most fun at? Like, what do you remember? What team that you said I really enjoyed my time with that team? Like, not necessarily hockey, more life.
Well, when you arrive in LA as an 18-year-old, I'd probably be naive to say that it wasn't an incredible experience. I was fortunate to meet one of the Laker girls, and we got along, and so I was dating a Laker girl for some time, and I got to do
Wow,
all the dance clubs. I've been in the limousine with Paula Abdul and Rick Dees and the Laker girls, and going from club to club in Hollywood, man. Like it's
that's
like
pretty.
it's like a blur, but I got the pictures. I just don't show them.
Did you ever bring any childhood friends to LA?
Childhood friends came, yeah. They used to come down and visit, and I remember one time I was so naive, Jay. I brought 4 of my buddies down, and I had my Porsche, and I needed a car. I didn't think I could go rent a car. I didn't know how would I know? I was 18. So I went and bought a van. I bought one of those Toyota minivans, and then they were here. It was great. We had a great time. And then they left, and then I had this stupid minivan sitting in the driveway. So
Wow.
I took it back to the dealer, and I said, like, you need to take this back. And they're like, I lost like $5,000 or something for the week.
What were some of the like this is what I find priceless because I really like to dig into your life, but especially with your friends, like what was because your friends are probably just like, average, just like us. Like they're not hockey players, they're nine to
They're
fivers
18.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
they're 18 years old, just high
So
school
what were
buddies.
their what were they going, oh my God, Doug? Like what was their expression like?
One time I got in so much trouble after the season was over, I couldn't get up the next day. And I had invited a buddy down to go to a Laker game. I had front row seats at a Laker game. And I was so paralyzed from the night before, I couldn't get out of bed for like 2 days. And he took my fucking Porsche. I remember how angry I was when he came back and I was still unconscious, right? And he woke me up. He said, I went to the game. I took so he just took my keys, jumped in my Porsche, drove down Inglewood and went to the fucking game by himself. And he was like 19 years old.
Wow,
Doug,
like
so
your
you didn't
friends. Go
get
ahead,
to see
Simon.
Magic Johnson? Like you
Well,
just
yeah,
that just skip your head.
our dressing room was right next door to the Lakers. Okay. So there's one rule. Okay. And we did share a shower at one time. And you never want to get caught in the shower with those guys, make you embarrassed as hell, because freaking scary. Anyways, so their benches in their dressing room, if you've ever been in an NBA dressing room, are a lot higher. So our legs just swing, when they're
Oh wow, okay.
yeah. And so we socialize from time to time, and one of the guys, Michael J. Fox, was always there at the games, the Canadian guys,
Wow.
Glenn Fry,
Yeah.
and I had a chance to sit with him many times and just talk about stuff.
Yeah.
It's so sad that he's gone.
Glenn
Did
Fry,
you-
really?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, they
Doug,
were
did
all
you get
there.
to talk? Did you get to talk to Dr. Jerry Buss at any point? Because I'm a
Oh,
huge basketball historian, so
Yeah. So Jay Wells dated Jerry's daughter, and I was good friends with his younger daughter. So Jay dated his older daughter, and Jeannie Buss was a good friend of mine. So I used to hang out at Pickford Mansion, and just
Wow.
crazy stuff. Like uh, there were sometimes I said no to going to certain things, and then I found out what happened, and I'm so glad I didn't. So life's a bunch of fucking
So
turns,
Magic was
right?
on that team. Kurt Rambis was on that
Yeah,
team. Byron Scott, Kareem
Kareem
Abdul.
Abdul-Jabbar. So I used to, because I was friends with the photographer. His name is Wen. He used to give me a loaded camera to sit underneath the basket when I didn't have a seat. So I would sit under the basket with the photographers and watch the NBA game, and be clicking away.
So did they know that you were like did the NBA guy, the Lakers know you were a king?
Yeah, I think everybody in the building sort of knows. Like I never assumed anybody knew. But when you're a player and they work in that building, you're sort of a part of the fabric of that building. So I'd never assumed it, but I know when I went to concerts, I went with Larry Murphy one time after we went to the Forum Club and drank our faces off, and it was AC/DC in their prime, and we were in the third
Wow.
row, okay, and we were getting up on our seats, and we were so drunk we were falling over backwards, and there was always two security guards there to catch us.
Wow. Jay, that's price. These stories are priceless. So Magic was there. So would they show you any love? Would they talk to you like Kareem Abdul or Magic? Would they ever say interact with you or no?
Oh no, no, unless it was a media thing or something,
Yeah.
we didn't share the same circles as those guys. I probably had a little more access than most of the guys because I was always hanging around with the Laker girls, so why would
Wow.
you?
That's exciting. Like just to share that part of your life that people, how would you know? People would know this. So this is really thanks, Doug. I love you
No,
sharing that.
it's my
So
pleasure. Hopefully
how
it
about
helps Simon avoid some of the pitfalls.
yeah, yeah,
so
I'm taking notes.
So
But Doug,
why don't we
Yes,
take a quick break, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to just give our viewers a little bit of update what's going on with the channel. And so as
right
we take
on.
a break, why don't we show another clip if we have
Sure we
another
do.
clip of Doug showcasing his talents in the
Glenn
NHL.
Glenn Reggett. He went out of the net for a second. I shot it from center ice. It went right in the center of the net.
Beautiful. Stay tuned. You're watching Press Box. We'll be right back.
Johansson with a floating shot that goes into the corner as Newell skips to get out of the way of the puck. DeGray goes down in the corner. Number 3, Sabres control. Here's Doug Smith, slot shot, scores! And there's goal 100 for his career for Doug Smith. And the Sabres jump on the lead here early in the second period, and they now lead it 4-2. And that's Smith's second goal of the season, his 100th to Eric said.
welcome back to Press Box with our first leader Jay Stoyan and Doug Smith, former NHL'er and motivational speaker.
Well, Doug, thank you for letting me be on the show today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to probably
Thanks
pop
for
off a little
coming.
bit early. But before I do, I just wanted to tell everybody, I just want to thank everybody for our fundraiser on October 12th, which is a sold out here in Burlington, Kerrigan Arms, showcasing our employment programs for veterans and persons with disabilities. We have a wonderful veteran opening. We have Dan Lozon. He's a Frank Sinatra Idol contest winner, along with Freedom Trainer, headliner, and special guest Dave Ray from Teenage Head. It's a sold out event. This is going to be wonderful. So I really thank you guys for letting me be on the show. I'm going to remove myself. Let's take another quick break, and you guys can come back and close the show. Again, you're watching Press Box. We'll see you next time.
The day is set. Join us October 12th, 2024 at Kerrigan Arms for our next fundraiser in honor of veterans, the Invictus Games in British Columbia, Canada, and TDC Employment Program enrollment. For more information, email us at info@thedisabilitychannel.ca.
Welcome back to Press Box. I'm your host, Simon Ho, with the Disability Channel with Doug Smith, former NHL'er.
Hey, glad to be back, Simon. Hey, you had a question about the experience.
Well, I figured we would talk about more about optimizing for performance. Like, can you elaborate on your methodology and the proof that goes along with that?
My work is really simple. It's based on the fact that our subconscious mind controls us. You have your conscious and your subconscious. Your subconscious mind controls you. And to control it, it only requires 3 priorities: meeting basic needs, clarity of thought, and helping other people. And so if you take care of those 3 things, meeting basic needs, clarity of thought, and helping other people, you'll start being able to manage your subconscious mind, because it controls 95% of your behavior. And so if you're not hitting it with a management process, some way that you can tap into it and not let it hurt your performance, right? Always get it to help your performance. So that's the work I do today. I've written a book called The Trauma Code, which has no pictures in it, but breaks down the science of what I'm speaking about and the meditation process and how that whole process works to make you healthier and happier. And my first book, Thriving in Transition, you can just simply go to my website and go to dougsmithperformance.com/thrive, and you can grab all the pictures, because this book is full of photographs of the journey. And especially if you're in it, if you don't have a copy and you're in it, you need to get a copy.
Definitely. So what would be the difference in the 2 books? Like, what could someone get from
this first book? Here's the thing about writing a book. Anybody can write a book. I'll give you the methodology. It's in this book because this is the way I did it. It's called 52 Pictures. So at any stage of life, get the top 52 pictures in your lifetime that you like the most. Then you take the picture and you write 100 characters, okay, about it. That's all, just 100 characters, not much, just a little bit. And then once you've written the 100 characters about the picture, put the pictures in chronological order.
Right.
And then from there, you'll expand on what you've written, the 100 characters, you'll expand on it. So you got 52 pictures with 100 characters.
One for every week.
And you just keep going. Yeah, it's right. So when you launch the book, you can launch a series of photographs or whatever. And, like, so it's a really simple process called 52 Pictures. That's what I teach people how to utilize, is to get their book done at any age too.
Yeah. Have you heard of Tim Ferriss?
Yes, the 4-hour work week.
Yeah.
A lot of Tim's work is phenomenal. His second book, I think, was more anecdotal, like Malcolm Gladwell. But his first book, The 4-Hour Work Week, made a lot of sense. It changed me.
Yeah. I think he was just ahead of the curve with the working on Zoom and geo arbitrage, working in a Western country and living somewhere with cheaper standard of living. Like,
yeah, and he's a great writer.
Oh yes.
Like the way he framed everything and how he put the timing sequence, like he just had a gift for laying it out on paper. Maybe he had a ghostwriter, I don't know, but it seems like it's him.
All right. So where can people find your work if they want to know more about you or your efforts?
Oh, you could put in the box, dougsmithperformance.com is the best place to reach me. Yeah. That's
all right. And with that, thank you everyone for tuning in to Pressbox. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
The day is set. Join us October 12th, 2024 at Carrigan Arms for our next fundraiser in honor of veterans, the Invictus Games in British Columbia, Canada, and TDC Employment Program Enrollment. For more information, email us at info@thedisabilitychannel.ca. Introducing Veteran House Alliance International Monthly 50/50 Raffle. Purchase your ticket today, link on display, and have a chance to win cash and help a great platform supporting veterans.